It's time for you to disrupt roadblocks, get uplifted, and unlock your potential. This is the Wolf Leadership Podcast. And now, here's your host, Eric Bailey.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Den. This is the place where you can get all of your leadership training, your motivation, your inspiration, and a place that's safe, and is a place where we want all of you to keep in the back of your mind that this is the place where you can just be you. My name is Eric Bailey, and welcome to Wolf Leadership, and I am so happy to introduce our guest today. Our guest is Peter Brewer. He's exuberant, his exuberant personality. He's very approachable, which makes him one of the most recognized faces in all of Queensland, particularly in the real estate industry. He is a person I can look up to. I'm talking about figurative and also as a man of experience. So welcome, Peter.
Eric, thank you. And can I just say, of all the introductions I've had, that is without question the most recent. So thank you for it.
No problems at all. So let's just get right down to it. I like to give our guests an opportunity to just talk about themselves as far as, where they're from, how they started, and where they are now. So you can tell our audiences exactly a little bit about your life.
It's really dangerous giving me an opportunity to talk about me. We could be here for hours.
I've heard that. I've actually heard that.
Eric, I describe myself jokingly as a crusty old real estate agent who looked for a better life. And I guess what I mean by that is after 30 odd years of dealing with the public in a retail environment, selling real estate, I walked in the office one day and I realised I'd become that cranky, tired old real estate agent that wasn't fit for human consumption. And I reckon that wasn't a good place to be. In business, you've got to be exciting, you've got to be exuberant, you've got to give people confidence on why they should do business with you. And I wasn't doing that. And so I thought it was time to put the feet up on the teak, spend my ill-gotten gains and just enjoy life. And after about 3 weeks of that retirement, I realised I was really bad at golf. And none of my mates had time, so I thought it was time to evolution myself into something else. And so I spent a fair bit of time in the US. I'd always had a passion for where real estate and technology came together. And it never ever worked well because no one knew how to use it properly. So I spent a fair bit of time in the States understanding real estate technology, came back to Australia and New Zealand, spent an enormous amount of time, in fact, probably the last 10 years, educating the real estate industry on making that stuff work. Because when it works, the magic happens. So that's me. And as life's gone on, I've just evolutioned, or if that's the word, evolutionised into other pieces of helping small businesses. I just love that piece of work.
So when you talk about real estate, can you tell us maybe some of the highs that you experienced in real estate? What were some of the goals that you kicked?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I did an interview series with a heap of real estate agents recently. We talked about what was success. And for only one of those people's success revolved around having a red Ferrari or lots of money. For most of us, and this is going to sound really corny, but for most of us, it's that piece of helping people realise their dreams. Whether that's a first home buyer getting into their first home, whether that's an investor starting to build a portfolio, whether it's helping a family in crisis, whether it's helping people do something with their dreams or to get out of a domestic violence situation. They were the highs for me when you could walk out of a transaction and go, yes, that was special. In fact, I used to have a song, Van Halen had a song called Jump. And when I got a deal together that meant something to me, I would sit in the car and I'd put my cassette in. We're going back
cassette,
now.
okay.
Cassette.
Yeah.
I put cassette, Van Halen Jump, and I would do barrel rolls in my Holden Commodore down Carmarthen Street at Manly. That was my success. And so it was never about the money, it was about how you could change people's lives. And so they were the highs for me, not necessarily about the dollars, but about how you could help people.
I think that's very important that we actually talk about helping people and seeing people realize their dreams, because that's what we are all about here at Wolf. It's about helping small businesses and people within their business to achieve their goals and their dreams. So where you are right now in your stage of life,
yes.
Did you anticipate being where you are right now, was that a goal to sort of transition into the life that you're having now as a speaker, as an ambassador? Was that the plan?
It probably was never the plan. It just, it just occurred that way. But it was a natural progression. It's funny. My kids say to me now, I'm 62, and my kids say, what are you going to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure. And I think life is like that. They were just gaps that I saw and opportunities that meant something to me, where I thought I could make a difference with inside the industry or inside people's businesses. Business is tough for so many people, and so many people continue to make bad mistakes. And I think there's an opportunity. In fact, I think it's incumbent on people like me and you to use the wisdom that we've gained and the challenges that we've been through to actually use that to try and help people not make those mistakes, or not go through the loneliness and all those struggles that happen inside businesses.
The last 2 years have been difficult on people professionally, and personally. What are some of the challenges that maybe you have had to overcome or deal with, particularly over the past 2 years?
I still remember the 15th of March when our Prime Minister got up and said, we're shutting the joint down. Effectively, Australia went into lockdown. And my phone started to go beep, 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 beep. Wow. And the text messages came in and the emails came in. And my entire year worth of work was cancelled within inside a week. And I'm sitting there going, aha. So I had a really good bit of speaking career and a really good coaching business. And Australians went into meltdown and said, oh my God, we're not doing anything. And so everything got cancelled. And so that was a challenge for me to say, how do I rebuild from this? And for me, it was, the first thing I did was kick my daughter out of her second bedroom and said, you're going to live with your mother. And we created a Zoom room, and I said, how do I take this in-person me and put that behind a Zoom camera? How do I set a studio up? And so within a week, we built a studio, and we said, we can still deliver, because I thought it was important for us to keep the energy going inside businesses, because what I saw were two types of businesses. There were those where the business leaders kept their companies or their teams' heads in the game, and those that ran around with their heads there saying, oh my God, the sky's falling in. And I saw that our role was to try and be leaders and give confidence and reassure people, because they needed that. And so that for me was the main thing. It was like we went from all sorts of trouble to say, I need to get my head right, I need to provide leadership, and I need to look after people. And how can I do that if I can't do it face to face? And there were some absolute challenges, because you're probably a bit like me. You and I are the kind of people that feed off the energy of an audience. Yeah. And when you're just looking down the barrel of a camera, it's like, you don't like me? Do they just like me? How's it going here? But you learn to deal with that over time. And so that was probably the biggest challenge, was saying, how do I reshape that business and that presentation skills and all that kind of stuff? But you do it because that's what you have to do to survive.
If I could sum up what Peter just said, it's all about being adaptable. Looking at a situation and saying, what's important? How do I get to that next stage? What do I need to do? From a mental point of view, can you tell me some of the things that you had to overcome, sort of or maybe some tips and strategies of how people maybe listening today can also be a little bit more adaptable, how they look at their mental state?
Yeah, okay, cool. Look, there's a bit of that for me, and this is very personal for me, but in probably, and I'm going back pre-COVID, I'm going back to probably about 2003, 2005. I was like most business owners, staring at the ceiling at 2:30 in the morning, going, how am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do? That salesperson's driving me crazy. Is that deal going to settle? All that stuff that goes on, that loneliness of leadership. And I'm staring at the ceiling, and I started to lose sleep and feel unwell. And I went to my doctor, and he said, if you don't slow down, the only way we'll fix you will be with tablets. And I went, no, that's okay. But I still kept going at a frenetic pace. And 5 years later, I went back to the doctor with the same ailments, bad heart, all those kind of things going on. And he said, there you go, there's the tablets. How smart are you? And I went, wow, I really need to change things. And so I started to do a few things. I engaged a mini-me, a guy that I trusted who'd had 7 years at McDonald's where they understood systems and processes. And I said, I need you to be mini-me. I need to have the ability to switch off and know that you're going to answer the phone the way I'd answer the phone. Look after the people at a service level that I would expect as the absolute minimum. And I then made calendar appointments in my calendar. So every Wednesday was PB's appointment with PB between 9 and 12. And that was for PB as a person. and I'd go to the Spoon Deli, which you and I have met at.
Correct.
In New Farm, and I'd sit there for 3 hours and I'd read the paper and I'd look at the internet and I'd just chill out, and the phone would divert to Chris, and I had people that I could trust in my business, and that was PB's appointment with PB for personal. Then Friday was the same thing, 9 or 12, PB's appointment with PB for business. And that's where I'd see my accountant and do all those other things. But I made sure that I had time for me. Otherwise, we are in this crazy pressure cooker of life and in business. And so they were the things that I did, and I absolutely stayed firm with that. If someone said, but the only time I can see you will be Wednesday or Friday, and so I'm sorry, I've got a commitment, just like you'd have a commitment to anything else that you do. So they were probably the main things, so making sure that I had time for me.
Well, this whole episode is really about time, energy, and how you can manage your time and manage your energy. What you've now just described is the essence of a person taking their time, their energy, and managing it in a way that they can overcome obstacles. In the real estate industry, and maybe even in other industries, how would you best describe, or how would you best articulate how someone could actually put some processes in place that they could, number one, manage their time and also manage their energy levels? Because you and I both know that if you burn the candles on both ends, somewhere in the middle there, you're going to burn out. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you would suggest someone listening to us, whether they're CEO or sales manager or someone who's just doing 50, 60, 70 hours a week?
I think the first thing you've actually got to do is put a value on your time.
Correct.
You've got to value your time. If you're that guy that I was at some stages, crawling around under the table fixing someone's computer, or finding a plug that's been pulled out by the cleaner, or doing stuff that's not dollar productive and isn't your best skill, then you're crazy. So you've got to put some value on your time and say, what am I best at doing? And in a leadership role, that's being a great leader. And so the ability to put value on your time, to delegate, I think they're probably the key things that I'd be saying. Focus on that and the rest will come. So, don't be, and we see it again in so many businesses where the business owner is at the beck and call of a 9,000-pound gorilla who doesn't have a stake in the business, who's dictating the terms, and the business owner is running around, okay, what do you want me to do next? You are the leader. It's your business. So many business owners have bought themselves a job instead of a company or a business. And so if you want to buy yourself a job, that's okay, but you never, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so become that leader, have the right people in the business. If that means that you've got to exit some people, one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but so often one of the best things you'll do, when you can take control back of your company, when you can actually be the leader and delegate and show the way to have people respect you and follow you. Yeah. Critical.
Look, that's very good sound advice. So in your time in real estate and now that you're a coach, a mentor, an ambassador, what are some of the things that you've been able to physically help people overcome? What sort of challenges or what types of things have you done to be able to help their small businesses?
Work with a roadmap. When you're working inside your business and stuck doing the day-to-day, all the obvious stuff that's going on goes over your head. And so I love to sit down with the business owner and say, let's just take a half day out or a day out. Let's absolutely look at a roadmap of where this thing can go. Let's look at some of the genuine blockages there are in your business, whether that's people, whether it's finances, whether it's lack of confidence, whatever it is, and then work on those things and actually put a roadmap in place. And so many coaches, Eric, I see that do this and say, here's your plan, you've got to do it, I'll catch you later. I see my job as there to be with you every step of the way. And I'm going to cry with you, and I'm going to keep you accountable, and I'm going to celebrate with you, but you're never going to be lonely, and you're going to have someone that's going to help you through. And I think most people need that because we're stuck in that business on a day-to-day basis. And so the ability to do all the other stuff as well as business as usual, the new stuff as well as business as usual, can be a challenge. And so many times I've seen it with other people where it just falls off the priority list. And so having someone who's going to keep you accountable and have that roadmap and someone who's with you every step of the way.
I like the word you use, priorities. A lot of businesses, a lot of people have their priorities aren't aligned to the success that they truly want in the business. When you're working with a company or you're working with an individual, how do you best help them to identify which things should be first on the list?
It's funny, I get called into a lot of businesses where people say, we want you to digitally transform this business. And once I actually spend some time there, say, that's a nice goal, but we've actually got some people issues here, or some structural issues here, or some confidence issues here. And so for us, it's, yeah, that's cool, and we're really happy to do that, but let's get the big rocks in place first. And if that means we're going to help you exit some people, we'll do that. If it means we need to help you with some financing or whatever, then we'll do that. If we need to work on you and your own skills and confidence, we'll do that. And so it's understanding what's the real issue, because quite often the real issue isn't the issue.
Yeah. We talk about pitfalls, struggles, and challenges in businesses. If you could maybe list 5 of the top pitfalls that will affect a small to medium business. Number 1, what would they be? And then number 2, what are some of the things that you would do to help that company to avoid them going further?
Okay, wow, 5, okay.
Or 3 or 5.
It's okay. Lack of direction. Woke up one day, thought it was a great idea to start a company, didn't really know what they're going to do, got involved in the do, and forgot to look at where they honestly could go. Number 2 is probably not resourcing, which is probably part of one, not resourcing the business correctly, trying to do everything themselves. Number 3, not bringing the right people on. You've got to have, the people are the essence of your business. So bringing the right people on. So often I'll sit down on interviews with business owners, and particularly sales businesses. And the business owner becomes more intent on selling the business to the employee instead of understanding what that potential employee skills are going to be. You're going to love working here. We are fantastic. We have free coffee. We have fruit. Shut up. Interview the person. Let them work out. Are they an assassin? Are they crazy?
Yeah.
Spend some time. Bring some external resources in so you make sure that people fit is right. I think the next thing, and I see this all the time in the real estate industry, and I have no doubt it happens in all of us. We joke in real estate, we say new people get 3 things. They get a desk, they get a phone, and they get a month. Good luck. And that's not a career path. Starting in a business can't be just saying, that's where the toilet is, that's where the photocopy is, I wish you well. We're going to actually spend some time. And so making sure the values are aligned with that prospective employee, that theirs are aligned, and actually spending some time with them on a daily, weekly basis saying, how are we going? What are we doing? What's achievable? Being a leader is the critical thing. So many business owners say, I need a management of people. Eric, no one woke up this morning and said, oh my God, I can't wait to go to work today to be managed. People want to be led. And so business owners get in and lead. So when you actually spend some time in the trenches with people, show that you've got some empathy, spend 2 minutes in their moccasins, all that kind of stuff, that's when the magic happens.
You mentioned earlier that you spent quite a bit of time in the U.S. I was born in the U.S., but then moved to Australia, and I've been in Australia for close to 40 years now, but I still go back and forth for work. There's a different culture, mentality, I find, between the United States and Australia. How would you define the difference in the cultural, view of the workplace and diversity and actually getting in and building goals and dreams and hopes?
I think my experience in the US, which is a fair bit, not as much as yours, but I think Americans are fiercely independent. I think they are workaholics to a degree, and I think that's a problem. I think it's a serious problem, and I think it's I sit and go, why are people going crazy? Well, you're only taking a week's holiday a year, you're going to go crazy. I think the workaholics, I think they're really good people. They're certainly not afraid to speak their minds. I believe Australians are probably more entrepreneurial, more prepared to get in and not make excuses. That's just an observation. Some of my American friends won't be liking that too much. So they're probably some of the key things. Look, I could probably waffle on a few more. What do you see as the difference?
Well, I see the biggest difference is in America, because the sheer volume of people, I find that when someone does have an idea, to a larger degree, where people will look at that idea and say, "Oh, how can I compete against so many more people?" So I think maybe their dreams, their goals might get diminished a little bit more. But I find in Australia, when you have a dream or you have a goal, you're more likely to at least put your foot in the water, test it, and depending on your own mindset, whether or not you will continue, that's really something that each individual person will have to go through. An energy point of view, I think Americans get really excited. They love the hype, the bang bang boom 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 boom. With Australians, a little bit more reserved, they're a little bit more cynical about things. Yeah. But overall, doesn't matter where you're in the world. I believe that when you do have a dream and you do have a goal, let nothing and no one stand in your way. Pursue it all the way, because you only get one shot at this on this planet, in this life. And talking to you, I get a sense that you have accomplished some really, really great things in your world. And other thing I've noticed about you is that you have this energy that you attract great people to you. So from a leader, what are some of the what are some of the things that a leader, you believe, you need to display and exhibit on a day-to-day basis to, number one, bring people to you and actually help your staff, help your team actually buy into your goals and your dreams?
It's a great question, and thank you. I appreciate that. And very quickly, I agree. I think your summation of Americans is spot on. We spend a lot of time in startup alleys in various conferences over there. I think one of the differences that I see just in that American piece is that if you've got a great piece of technology you want to float in the American market, if you've got 1.7 million real estate owners to sell that to, you've only got to get 2 or 3% of the market. You've actually got a viable product.
Right.
And so for an Australian technology business, you've actually got to have something spectacular to embrace 100,000 real estate agents, so different markets. What do I think? So for me, I reckon you've got to be approachable with people.
Yeah.
And I like to think that I am. I think people buy into passion. I did a presentation. I did a presentation in New Zealand for a group of real estate agents, and a great friend of mine, Andrew Mark. Andrew was CEO of a particular franchise group, and I did this presentation down in Rotorua, and they were, the very conservative real estate group, probably 120 men in their late 50s, 60s, and I did the presentation, got a standing ovation going. That's pretty good. Got in the car, driving back to Auckland Airport, and Andrew rang me and he said, Brewer, that was amazing. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I got no freaking idea what you said, but God, that was fantastic. Yeah. And so what they bought into was, because I was talking about technology and real estate businesses, and for 50 to 60-year-old men, they generally close over that stuff. Yeah. But I just brought passion and enthusiasm, and so I've got no idea what you said, but they loved you. And so I think you've got to provide that. There's so much friggin' vanilla in the world, and we've got to get rid of the vanilla. You've got to stand out. So I love doing that. I love to listen to other people's ideas. Alan Bond years ago, and you can have your opinions on whether Bond was a good guy or a bad guy, but he was an interesting guy. And people would go to Alan Bond and say, I got this great idea, and Alan Bond would listen, and then he'd say, that's a great idea, make it happen. And so empowering people, where so many other business leaders will go, oh yeah, well, we'll put that on the burner, we'll have a look at it, or, and would try and own the problem or own the issue themselves. And Bond would, what I say, pass the porcupine back and say, great idea, make it happen. And so empowering people, I think, is really, really important. Just be energetic and enthusiastic, and people will buy into that stuff. Don't be crazy. You can't be crazy. Yeah. You've actually got to have some substance and some runs on the board. I think we've demonstrated that over time with a multitude of businesses we've worked with. But yeah, I think that's the key thing.
You talk about standing out. Well, I'm 6'6". What, you're 6 foot?
You're 6'2".
6'2", and the jacket, man. My brother, the jacket stands like I saw you coming, and I was indoors. So when you talk about standing, I have this saying that you don't want to just show up for work or show up for a team, meaning you want to show out. I have a thing I always say is that, are you memorable? Are you memorable in your team? Are you memorable in your community? Are you memorable in your household? And are you memorable for the right things? So when you were at I guess the height of your real estate industry and what you were doing, obviously, you were putting lots of time in. How were you able to look after yourself mentally, physically, and on a business level?
Awesome question. I had, my business was at its peak. It was nailing it. We were writing phenomenal figures. I decided I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and so also took on the chairmanship role of a major franchise organisation as well, which was fairly demanding, but I was pretty passionate about what I wanted to achieve there. I wasn't necessarily a fit person. I got a phone call from a mate of mine who's still a mentor today, and he rang me and he said, Peter, if you want to perform at this level, you're going to have to be fit. And I went, oh, I'm fit. And he said, you're not fit. And I went, okay. And he said, have a look at yourself. Too much weight, not sleeping well, burning the candle at both ends. And he said, you got to look after yourself. I went, bang, and the light came on. Now, I'm not necessarily the best these days, but at that time I went, you're right, and so I committed to doing 5 kilometres every morning on the Esplanade at Wynnum, where I walked from Manly to Wynnum and back.
Wow.
And it was amazing just how that gave me a supercharged start to the day, where I started to crystallise things. And instead of rolling out of bed, having some breakfast and a cup of coffee and going down to the office and getting straight back into it, I was actually able to prioritise stuff. And so obviously get myself in a better mindset and also in a better physical set. So they're probably the key things, and making sure that I was absolutely focused on my time. It's not to say that I was rude to people, but I went, I'm valuable. I've got to be doing a lot of productive activities. I can still be empathetic with the staff, but I need to be in that sweet spot, which was looking after people, because people bought into me and they bought into the service I provided, and they wanted that experience. And if I wanted to provide that experience and charge the fees we were charging, I had to be absolutely on game.
Yeah, great point. When you actually think about bringing your A game every day, it has to start with your physical being and your mental well-being. Well, Peter, we're just about at the end of our session. You sort of have a taste of what the Den is all about. Yeah, I've spoken to you about what Wolf Leadership is all about. If you were to talk to a CEO, or if you were to speak to someone who was running a company, and they asked you a little bit about why you were on the Den, or what Wolf Leadership is all about, what would be some of the things that you would say with your limited knowledge right now of what we're trying to do here?
Eric, like you, we've both been through the challenges of the operations recently.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I've written a piece which I'm happy to share with people, or share with you, 7 things I learned about business from the operations or knee replacements. And one of the key things there was, point number 2, that I was learn to push the help button. Here it is. I'm sitting in the hospital. The nurse came in to me on day 2 and she said, is everything going okay? And I said, no, I'm very unhappy. And she said, why is that? And I said, well, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, they're not doing something else. And she said, did you press the help button? And I said, what do you mean? She said, there's a help button there. Did you press it? I went, no. She said, well, if you want help, you've got to help. You've got to ask for help. And I went, wow, that's like pretty clever. And I reflect on that to business and for business owners. If you've got some challenges, press the damn help button. There are people out there like you and I who are willing to help people. I see that, and we talked about this before, I see people like you and I have got a responsibility to share the wisdom we've gained through life to help people not make mistakes, to make them better business people or better businesses or lead their people better. And so if you need a hand, if you don't think you've got it right, then nothing changes if nothing changes. And so I think you've got to be prepared to call professional people in, like what you're doing at Wolf. I love the concept of helping people. And we're both at, well, I'll say the senior years of my life where I do want to give back. And I look back and go, through my business career, I've had some amazing people. It's only when I sit and think about it, things that I say in presentations, things that I do in my successful business where I go, wow, I learned that from Winston Marsh about marketing in 1985. Or I learned that from Matt Church in 2000 about looking after a body. Or I learned that from Dr. John Tickell. Or I learned that from our current CEO at the REIQ, Antonio, about negotiation. We're always learning, but we've got to be receptive to going out and listening to really good people. We'll bring them into our businesses to get them to spend time with us. Because, as I said, all those pearls of wisdom just come out and go, wow, I didn't think that Matt Church change my business that much, but he did. He changed my thinking. John Tickell changed my health. Winston Marsh changed my marketing to say, do something that makes people go, wow. And so be prepared. Don't think that you know it all, because none of us know it all. And it's amazing what pearls you can pick up when you spend time with good people.
Wow. Well, you heard it for the man, my friend, and my mentor, Mr. Peter Brewer, with the amazing outfit. I've got to talk to you about where you actually got that jacket. I got to get fitted up for one of those. Thanks, everyone out there, wherever you are, for hanging out with us here in the Den. We hope the information and the inspiration, motivation that we've been throwing together is jumping through your lens. If you want more information, go ahead and jump on wolfleadership.com.au. And Peter, if people want to contact you, can you just let them know where they can do that at?
Absolutely. You can get me online, and you can Google me, you'll find me, or you can just go to the website, which is thatpeterbrewer.com. THAT, peterbrewer.com. Not Fat Peter Brewer.
Oh, not fat. Are we allowed to say the word Fat Peter? I don't think that's politically correct. Boys, we need to edit that out.
You'll find me online. I'd love to chat to you.
Hey guys, thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. This is Eric Bailey from Wolf Leadership saying peace, and we're out of here.
Thank you for listening to the Wolf Leadership Podcast. Be sure to rate and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. If you're looking to take your leadership to the next level, hit us directly at inquire@wolfleadership.com.au or call 1-300-870-002. You can also check out our website at wolfleadership.com.au and follow us on Instagram at wolf.leadership. We'll see you here next time.